Can we not ignore the fact that Donald Trump is a problem? I'm not talking about Russia or Iran or the racism and all that stuff, which is very real. I'm talking about the 22 women who have alleged that he's engaged in some form of sexual misconduct, sexual assault, or even rape since the 1980s. Yesterday, he was held accountable for it. He was asked a question about it. And do you know what he said? The first thing he said was, "She's not my type." That is disgusting. That reinforces rape culture. It dismisses the stories of those women. We cannot act like Donald Trump is just a bad president. Donald Trump is a whole other sort. He's something that we need to deal with. So if voter fraud allegations isn't enough, if racism isn't enough, maybe the bodies of those 22 women are enough to make us say we need to do something different. Black Coffee starts now. Welcome to BET's Black Coffee. I'm Mark Lamont Hill, here with Gia Peppers, who's back from the BET Awards. Thank the Lord, Gia. Thank you. You were going so long. You left me with him, though. It felt like a week.
He's so grumpy in the morning without you.
Yes.
I'm happy to be back, guys.
He's back.
You are his black coffee.
There you go.
Right.
And Jameer Pond is here. He's my morning prune juice.
Wow.
Yes. That's a good thing. You need it.
Like yesterday?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
But most importantly, joining us, someone who you know, she's a brilliant actress.
Yes.
She is on the Netflix extraordinary history-making show Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
But you also know her for the way that she stands all day, every day for Beyonce. You also know that she's an outspoken activist in the LGBTQ community. She is the incomparable, the beautiful, the wonderful Laverne Cox in the building.
To the waves.
That was a really amazing intro. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
You could be my hype.
Yes, I'm gonna follow you around the country just doing that.
Yes, please.
It's fire.
Welcome.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here.
I love me some black coffee.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
No,
I poked a hole. So I poked a hole, but I was like, I'm gonna stick with the glove. Like my nails poked a hole.
I love nails.
You said those were your morning gloves.
I said these are my morning gloves.
That's how you know you moved to the next level.
Bougie. I sound so bougie saying my morning gloves, but the reality is I'll be wearing them in the afternoon as well.
Yeah, no, that's right.
But
They're
not the
beautiful.
evening. That's it. You switch during the evening, some red.
Okay.
It's different.
Okay.
Exactly. Throwing it out there.
You good? You're the fashion expert.
I mean,
And speaking
with
of
you.
the fashions, I saw y'all with Miss Lawrence yesterday. It was dope.
Oh yes, Ms.
It was
Lawrence
good.
did yesterday.
It was fire.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to, did you get to check
I
out the...
haven't seen it. I'm
But
like,
did you see the BET Awards?
I was on a plane during the BET Awards. I'm watching clips.
Okay.
I just watched Mary J's performance this morning. Lil' Kim, I love.
It's a great speech.
I watched her speech was amazing. Tyler Perry's speech.
Oh,
Yeah.
incredible. It was so
my God.
necessary.
Walking black people across that street.
That was amazing.
Woo!
I was like, that was the truth.
Yeah,
And
it was
Rihanna was
weird.
there, so that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yes.
And Al Sharpton.
Yeah, it
My
was
favorite.
weird to be there in the audience and not be able to get on the stage during the opening because, as you know, all I do is talk about DC. I'm from DC.
She's from
Jameer and I
DC.
asked
And
security
so-
to put a barrier in front of you. so
Right,
you-
I
right,
see,
right,
Do it
right.
in
because
butt in
I
front
was
of Taraji.
definitely gonna be little mama up there with Regina and Taraji
doing
like
the
this,
DC pose?
because I was tripping out. It was such a major moment for DC, for them to be able to open the show, for Regina to use that platform with millions of viewers to say, "Don't mute DC," and then bring back some of the greatest go-go icons to bring go-go music to the biggest night in hip hop. I was legit about to cry. Like it was beautiful, and I'm so thankful to Regina for being able, and of course Connie and Jesse Collins for allowing that moment to happen.
Yeah.
Sugar Bear from EU and Rare Essence and so many bands from DC have never seen that type of like fame.
Very true.
So it was fire.
It was major. By the way, we want to hear what y'all think about the BET Awards and about everything else going on today. Use the hashtag BlackCoffeeLive to sound off on today's show. Remember, we are talking a big question, giving back while black. We want your comments to the question, should wealthy people, or are wealthy people obligated to help the black community? We'll be reading your comments throughout the show. So, if you don't mind, this morning you made a little Instagram post too.
Oh!
Hello, welcome.
You know,
Yeah.
I was like, Laverne, let me check Laverne's Instagram and see what's going on. I was like, oh.
He said, I don't.
Oh,
Yeah.
We got to go too into it, but you did make an announcement.
I'm now single, and the only reason I never thought I would ever be public about anyone I was dating, but we started, Kyle Draper's his name, we started dating 2 years ago, and we just were dating. We started out, we were gonna have some fun. Neither one of us wanted to be in a relationship. I had just gotten out of a relationship. And we just fell in love. And then all of a sudden I'm posting on Instagram in the hot tub and whatever. And so it just kind of started very organically. And so a lot of people sort of started investing in our relationship and loved us as a couple. And so I felt like we needed to say something. And then also if like I'm out, I just, sort of ripping the Band-Aid off. And honestly, now that I'm single and he's single, I love what Wendy Williams says about the best way to get over the last one is under the next one.
She always says
Not that I'm planning to do any of that, but if I happen to flirt with someone and like, or whatever, I'm single now. I can do that.
You don't want people being like, hey, Kyle, she's out with a guy.
Exactly, and vice versa. So
Which would happen.
He can go and live his life, and he has permission to like, do whatever he wants. He's free now.
Wow.
So.
Would you ever have a public relationship again? On purpose?
I would say no. My instinct is to say no, but this just felt really, and there were so many boundaries. Like we never did red carpets together. We posted on Instagram and so people knew we were dating. We went to events together, but we didn't, my job is my job, and I've never ever wanted to have my career defined in relationship to a man, even if I'm like the famous one in the relationship. So we went to events together because we were partners and they were fun things for me to do in my life, you know, when I was with my friend Emmy the last time. No, but I want to share my life with him, and so that's what we did. So I don't know. I never planned to be public about anyone I've dated, but it just kind of happened. So, yeah.
Well, I apologize for all that, and I hope you are in better spirits. But hopefully, this game
it's
that we
actually,
have,
but can I tell you? It's a beautiful, amazing, wonderful thing because we had an incredible, loving relationship. It was so respectful. It's the healthiest relationship I've ever been in. I've never felt this loved and seen and respected, and to be able to give and receive that was deeply healing. Deeply healing for me, and so I feel like that's a lesson for me, and that's the message that it is possible. And I know trans people need to know that it is possible, but I think it's important that we must set standards for ourselves and ask the universe, ask God for what we want and need, and with intention, the universe and God will bring it to us.
healthy relationship.
Yes.
I like that.
That was a whole word right
I
there.
love
Okay,
that.
so games.
Yeah, so we got a game.
Right.
Okay, now back.
We got a game. Let me center myself, because that was a word.
Yes.
That was a word.
Center it.
We have a game called Pass the Aux, which is gonna test your musical skills. Basically, I'm gonna name 3 songs, and you let me know whether you're gonna play it, whether you're gonna skip it, or which one you're gonna delete. All right? So I got a list of 3 songs. We got 3 rounds.
You gotta do one for each.
You gotta do one for each. So are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Which one are you gonna skip, delete, or play? Katy Perry's Last Friday Night, Michael Jackson's Dirty Diana, and Monica's So Gone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Monica,
Right there.
so cute.
I'm gonna play Dirty Diana.
Okay.
I actually did a lip sync battle where I performed Dirty Diana. Paramount Network did a tribute to Michael Jackson like a couple years ago, and I performed Dirty Diana. So I would play Dirty Diana. I would delete Katy Perry's. I love Katy Perry, but that's not my favorite song of hers. And then we'll skip.
So Gone.
So Gone.
Yeah.
We'll come back.
Nice.
We'll come back to it.
Okay. It'll be there.
All right, it'll be there. All right. That was good. That was good. That was good.
We respect that choice.
We respect that. All right.
So
Next
there's
up.
judgment.
Yeah.
So that
They are very judgmental.
You are judging me. So
I am.
you brought me on Black Coffee to judge me.
Only on your
That's
music
not the
taste.
African
Only on your
American
music taste. It's my job.
Not good.
Okay, I can take it. I can take
Next
it.
up, we got Cardi B, Moneybag. We got Bobby Brown, Humping Around. And we got Elton John's Rocket Man. All 3 bangers.
We turned it up a notch.
Here we go.
Okay, I'm gonna play Cardi B's Money Back. I'm gonna play
Playing
it.
Cardi. All
I
right.
gotta play it because I gotta play it.
Okay.
I'm gonna skip Humping Around, but I kind of want to play Humping Around too.
Right.
It's fire.
You know what? I'm gonna play Humping Around. I'm gonna skip because I haven't heard Humping Around in a minute.
Right.
I'm gonna skip Cardi B and then I'm gonna delete Elton John. We love Elton John. But
Oh, the headline!
Elton John, no.
Laverne Cox deletes Elton John.
No. Elton John is a legend. There's a movie called Rocket Man now.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be there.
It'll be fine. Elton will be fine.
It'll be fine. Elton is amazing.
I thought you were going to delete Humping Around. I did.
Why?
Because Cardi B's Cardi B. Because Elton John's a legend. Somebody's got to go.
I have an Instagram video of me dancing to Moneybag.
Wow.
Like, FYI.
Fair point, fair point, fair point.
She already got that experience. It's already there. You know what I'm saying? Check the Instagrams.
Yeah.
All right, one more. Here's the last one. Ready?
Yes.
Drum roll.
The drama.
Oh.
Dolly Parton, Jolene.
Oh.
Drake, I'm Upset. Nas, Made You Look. Ooh. I'm going to drop it right there. I want to hear this.
I'm just getting my judgment.
Okay, like...
Let me grab my judgment cup.
Everybody grab it. Take that coaster.
Right.
Coaster
One of
loud.
my favorite Nas songs is Made You Look.
Got you.
Like, that song is genius, and I have not heard it in a minute, so I need to play that. Like, actually, I think after the show, I need to play it.
Right.
For real. And then Jolene, oh, Dolly. That song is everything. I love that song so much.
Dolly.
Can I play both of them?
No.
Gotta skip one.
don't
You
let
come back to one.
Right, I was gonna say,
I'll
you can
skip
come back.
Jolene.
Right.
I'll skip Jolene. What was the third one?
The third one is Drake, I'm Upset.
Drake. Don't be upset, Drake.
But you're getting deleted.
Drake has so much money and so
Right.
many
He'll be
hits.
fine. What do you need to be
He'll be
upset about?
fine too. Oh my God, Made You Look. Oh my God, that song is so good.
You can't delete Made You Look.
Girl.
Yeah, look.
That's
Everyone's girl, by the way. Girl
Right.
is the new dude.
Right.
Oh, gotcha.
Girl.
Girl, laugh.
Well,
You're so
thank
deceived.
you for playing. I appreciate it. We're not going to bash. The music choices were great.
I respect you passed.
Yeah.
I passed.
You passed. Some
Not
people,
an A+, but I passed.
you got a solid A.
Okay.
Some people
I would give you a
here,
93.
some people here, some guests have made some questionable music choices. I ain't gonna say who, but they did well. You and Robin Givens did the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yes,
I
yes,
love
for
Robin.
sure. Let's talk about something else.
What was that?
Transition.
I got my dad shirt on. I'm gonna talk like,
About to barbecue
get that off the
something.
grill. Get that off the grill.
We're going to barbecue something else.
Let's talk about a serious subject in the news right now, and that thing is the student debt crisis. Bernie Sanders, Ilhan Omar, they both made news on Monday because they vowed to erase over $7 trillion in debt for students. Check out what they said.
Bottom line is we should not be punishing people for getting a higher education. It is time to hit the reset button. Under the proposal that we introduced today, all student debt would be canceled in 6 months. Now we got millions and millions of families in this country who are struggling with outrageous levels of student debt. And maybe instead of just worrying about Wall Street, we start worrying about those families and that generation and give them a break.
Ah, Bernie with the bars.
Yeah.
I was about to say why I oughta.
Right.
Feel like that's-
Get off my
why I
lawn.
oughta.
Get off my lawn.
All right.
Told you
Why
twice.
I oughta.
No, I think
But-
that's so important though, because student debt holds back so many people. I mean, we were just talking about it
Yeah.
before about how many years we all have left to pay. It would be a dream to be like, this month, Sally, you don't get it from me. Like, it would be really nice. I just do believe it's almost too far-fetched to like really believe that it's gonna happen right now. It feels like out of our reach for
Look,
me.
y'all, these are hot button topics, and I understand. I'm in total agreement with you. I think this is a great thing to promote. Reparations, great thing to promote. When it comes down to the actual getting, like planning and strategically going after this, I think it's too far-fetched. You gonna raise $7 trillion?
We raise it. See, here's my issue, and Laverne, I'm wondering what you think. I mean, I think sometimes we scale down our dreams too much.
Amen.
You know, and that's what I worry about. You know, whether
think?
I mean, there was no, please.
I think we have to dream big, and we need big ideas. Our country is in crisis right now on so many levels, and debt is a huge part of it. I never thought I'd get out of student loan debt. However, I think the bigger issue around most of the political goals that we have is that it's not only about the president proposed. Elizabeth Warren has also proposed a student loan debt, you know, sort of forgiveness plan. We not only, I'm a registered independent, but Democrats not only need to take the White House, but we need to take the Senate. It does not matter what Bernie or any of the candidates propose if we cannot get it passed.
Right.
And we cannot get anything past the majority leader in the Senate. We cannot.
And that's the key for me is having a structural shift in how we do things, but also having a long-term plan. I mean, Republicans over the last few decades have taken over state houses. we were, you know, Democrats like, we gotta get somebody in the White House. Gotta
And
get
the
somebody
judiciary.
In the Senate. And the judiciary,
Right.
Strategic. The Heritage Foundation started during the last Supreme Court confirmation. I started reading about the Heritage Foundation. They started in the early 80s with the express goal of having conservative judges because they were frustrated with Roe v. Wade and some of the decisions that happened in the courts in the 70s. And so 35 years, they have their conservative majority. What is the long game for people who are progressive? What is the long game? And we need the courts right now. Tomorrow, the ACLU is going to file a brief. This is a digression, but they're going to file a brief for a case that's going to be heard in the Supreme Court that's going to determine whether LGBTQ people are covered by Title VII, which bans discrimination on the basis of sex in employment. And lower courts have made those, said, yes, we're covered by Title VII. Will this conservative Supreme Court say that it is okay to discriminate against LGBTQ people? So the courts are insanely important. So what is our long game? How do we dream big and think big? And then when we get power, how do we wield it in a way that's not corrupt and power hungry, but it is a way that, like, we have power now, let's get stuff done for the people and not just for corporations and rich people. And so then we're having a political discussion. Can I say one? I'm gonna say it. We need to impeach now. We need impeachment inquiries now.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's why I started at the top of the show with this, and I'm curious to know what y'all think too. Like, I mean, like sometimes we're so tactical that we lose sight of our values, right? So, we don't want to impeach because then it could cause problems with the election. There's always a reason not to do the right thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, let's impeach.
I would love for that to happen. I think that's the answer as well, because he's hella problematic, and it's just.
It's not just problematic. It's, Lord, I'm on TV saying this. It's criminal. It's criminal, and it sets the bar for any president who follows him to say, well, he got away with it.
So I could do that.
I can do it too. And I think everything can't be about a political calculation. It has to be about, we have seen this president obstruct justice in plain sight. We've seen it over and over again. There's a long list of it.
Yeah.
So what gives? And I think that we need an inquiry now, because Miss Hicks, when she came in and didn't answer any questions, McGann's wife, just she's not going to go and testify.
Right.
What is going on?
It's like some mafia shit right now.
If you got a subpoena, girl, if you got a subpoena and you're like, oh, girl, I'm good.
I'm good. I'm not going.
I mean, for me, it's just, I feel like in 10, 15, 20 years, when kids read the history books, this is going to be the most dark and embarrassing time of our history, other than slavery. Like humiliating.
And if we let this stand, our democracy is over because there's no checks and balances.
It's a joke.
There are no checks and balances. If we let this go, we're basically trying to the judiciary is supposed to check the legislature and blah, blah, blah. We have a checks and balances system. If this president cannot be checked, we don't have a democracy anymore.
Right, and is this the pathway to tear it all down?
Yeah.
Like, is this what we need for it to be like, at the end of the day, there's nothing that we have left, let's just start over? Because I'm just scared of what the aftermath of Donald Trump is gonna look like.
Go ahead, please.
No, I was gonna say, like, that's what I'm also afraid of, like the aftermath.
Like, what is
it's
happen?
Because I want him to be impeached, and I'll say that on the record, I do, but he got all his homies is right there on, so it's hard to even going back to just student loan forgiveness. It's hard to think. I do want that. I have student loans. I would love for it to be erased. But I'm seeing all the things that are transpiring, and I'm like, we can't even get somebody who is accused of raping women out the White House to think that we gonna get our student loans forgiven. I just think it's hard for me to visualize that right now with so much else going on.
I get it, and it becomes daunting. I mean, but that was the argument for not fighting to end slavery. What will the country look like out of it?
You're totally right.
You know what I mean? But on down the list, right?
Totally
so, and 20 years ago, we couldn't imagine gay marriage.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, we couldn't even, 10 years ago, I mean, I feel like even when we first met, those conversations were still, you know what I mean? It was still like, well, I don't know if and then like 5 years later, it's like, oh yeah, I went to a wedding. And it's like, it's not to say that there's
How do we lead? How does the Democratic Party, we have a two-party system, how did Democrats really lead the conversation instead of like waiting for the polls to decide what they want to do. And how do we lead? Because what brilliantly this president has done, what brilliantly Fox News has done is that they have set the agenda and they've set the conversation. And this president brilliantly has said he's continually moved the bar over. He gaslights, he lies, he does all these things, and people go along with it. And the entire Republican Party, who denounced him during that primary,
they ran from him.
They've all fallen in line because they've fallen in line with power. And power corrupts, absolutely. We're seeing that, right? So then what does it mean to have power and to wield it in a way that is actually for people?
Right.
It's actually for the people.
And I think that's where values come in. We got to stop waiting for the majority.
Amen.
In 1965, or even 64, right, with public accommodations, most Americans didn't want black people to be able to sit at lunch counters. Most people didn't want black people to get the right to vote, but we still did it because it was the right thing to do. We fought for it, it was the right thing to do. We have to do that now. Donald Trump does that. He does the wrong thing, but he says my values are more important than what the people want. And we just don't block them because we're still trying to play fair. It's my biggest criticism of Obama, right, is that he operated in good faith. He said, I'm going to come and negotiate. You want 0, I want 100, so let's meet. So he came and offered 50. And they're like, we're going to offer you 2.
And that is the piece that we saw. This president has appointed more justices than any other president because more justices were blocked during Obama's administration than any other administration. And so they're not going to play fair. That's consistent voter suppression, gerrymandering, et cetera, gerrymandering the 2020 census, et cetera. So I'm not saying Democrats need to be as corrupt as the Republican Party, but they need to have...
Play the game, like figure it out.
They need to wield power for the people.
Right.
Boom, that's it.
I love that, and I hate for us to move on because this conversation is so good. But
we got more good stuff though, right?
Right, we got more good conversation.
Who brought these
It's really wet.
I know.
But stop. Wow,
Pass
you
that
guys,
to him, please.
honestly, seriously, boys.
The coast is...
Sorry.
And so, okay. So obviously the question of the day was about black wealth, and if you are wealthy as a black person, is it your responsibility to give back to the community? And it's interesting because Lena Waithe, who we all love, an incredible director, an incredible, playwright, all of the things that she is, had interesting comments to say about Will Smith and Denzel Washington.
I did not hear what Lena said.
Apparently, and I'm spark noting it, but apparently she was just saying that they should be creating more opportunities for people of color and backing more independent movies for people of color. She was kind of a little bit criticizing. I think she walked back the comments, but I wanted to know what you think about that idea of black wealth. And do you think Lena is right in saying that Will and Denzel and people who have huge, budgets and power in Hollywood should help more black people? Or how do you feel about that?
I think it's weird to tell anybody how they should spend their money.
Same.
I don't think we should be doing that. I love Lena.
Me
Lena,
too.
girl, you know I love you. But I don't think we should tell anyone how to spend their money. But I also do believe that we have a responsibility. It's not always about money. Sometimes it's about giving your time. But this whole thing of philanthropy is a beautiful thing, but we need to give back so much because there's public policies in place that keep our community down.
Right.
And our community is black people, our community is LGBTQ people, our community is women. So then the philanthropy piece is beautiful and wonderful, and I think giving back is something that I try to do whenever I can. But then how do we use our resources, because we're talking about resources and access, to change the public policy, which means that we have to have different people in office, which means we have to be engaged. Instead of poo-pooing a celebrity who we don't think is giving back enough, are we engaged enough when it's time to vote, when it's time to mobilize people to vote, and then holding our elected officials accountable so that our communities maybe won't need as much philanthropy.
Right, that's a great point. That was the Robert Smith point, right? So just tying it back to the student loan thing. Yeah, Robert Smith is a billionaire who goes to Morehouse College's graduation and says, I forgive everybody's debt, and that's great. He looks great. It's an act of generosity he didn't have to do. But I wouldn't go to each billionaire and say,
now you go.
Everybody go do it. I think it's better to say, one, why do we have a system that creates billionaires and normalizes that? But more importantly, for this conversation, why do we have a system where students need a billionaire to have their debts paid off? Why can't people have access to college, affordable college? Why can't people have loans?
And why is it, what Elizabeth Warren is proposing with the 1 cent for everybody making $50 million and over the $50 million, that money can go into student loan forgiveness and go into all kinds of programs that can help people who are poor and working and struggling in this country. Our reverence for people who are working and poor is just, doesn't exist in this country. It does, and we demonize poor people and we stigmatize them. I was just in Alabama last week. I'm hanging out with my mom and we're doing her elder care plan or whatever, and we were talking about Medicaid. And I was on, before I booked Orange Is the New Black, I had Medicaid, but I also had a job, and I worked insanely hard at that job, but I needed health care. And so many folks want to make poor people and people who need Medicare or need some kind of government assistance out like we're lazy and we don't work. I was working my ass off, and I continue to. And so there should be dignity in work, and people should be able to make a living wage, and we should have policies in place so that, yes, philanthropy and charity is wonderful, and folks should give back in the ways that they feel comfortable, but then what do we do systemically so that maybe we don't, the give back happens in our taxes, the give back happens in like infrastructure.
Because, no, you dropping gems. Putting, like, for them to contribute money to the community would only be a Band-Aid to the issue. It's like temporary. All right, cool. We give more resources to this group of people, but then what about all the other groups of people around the country who can't benefit from Will Smith because they don't live in Philly if he's just doing something in Philly, or Denzel if they're doing something in New York. It's only temporary Band-Aid to a larger problem, which is, yes, systemic, and which are policies in place that people can't have access to. So I can't police somebody, you should be giving back more money, because everybody ain't like that. And I want people to
see, that's why I will push back, though, because I think it's both and, not either or, right? I think you have to do the systemic thing.
Right.
But you can't have $1 billion or $500 million or $100 million or $1 million and not give back. I think you do have to do that.
People do give back, but people...
Some do.
No, all right, but...
Bezos gives almost nothing.
Yes, but
you got $100 billion.
But again, you also have to look for people who you know are going to... I'm not looking for Jeff Bezos to give back to me.
Fair.
Because I'm a young black man. Like, I look at somebody like Nipsey Hussle, who I'm like was a true champion for his community. But everybody not gonna be like Nipsey Hussle. Future might not be like him. J. Cole might not be like him.
Do we hold him accountable though? Whoever that person is.
But I can't be like, you're not giving back to me specifically in my community. I can't do that.
Why not though?
I think that's a conversation.
You can ask, but you can't. How am I gonna hold you? I don't know you.
I guess what I'm saying is, can we criticize a black celebrity for not giving to black causes?
But how do I can criticize.
Is that a fair criticism?
But I can't hold you accountable. How can I? I
can't hold you accountable. I can't go to your bed. But I'm saying, is it even right to ask the question?
The frame is that like these folks are supposed to give back, like it's the law or something. It is a choice. We can have our critiques and our criticisms of it, but I think for me it's always important to love individuals, to respect their choices, but be critical of systems, ideologies, and points of view, and that we love individuals and we try to give them the benefit of the doubt, unless it's
some egregious.
That's fair.
Right. It's some egregious shit happening.
And a lot of artists don't have, like, we don't know what they do. A lot of artists do give back secretly. They don't say anything. I'm sure Denzel and Will have things going on.
Oh, they do.
That we absolutely don't know about. So
there is some value, I'm gonna say, there's some value in doing it publicly.
Absolutely.
Not for attention.
Right.
I'm not talking about every time you write a check, let people know, but showing
that I care.
Showing that black people are worth investing in, or poor people are worth investing in.
But I think the case of being a service too is such a wonderful thing in terms of spiritually, in terms of our own personal growth. Oprah talks about this all the time, that it feels so good to give. It feels so good to be of service to someone who needs something desperately, and it's nothing for you. And it's not always about money, but it's just a really spiritually healing thing to be of service.
It really is. By the way, we have some comments coming from social media. Keep them coming in. Are wealthy black people obligated to help the black community was the question. Buttery Browns tweeted.
Buttery Brown.
It's treason if they don't. The black community made you. Maxine Million says no, but if they choose to, it should be appreciated. People shouldn't find ways to discredit their effort, which happens. So I think the community has an interesting, complex thing too going on. Which is, some people think it's treason if you don't.
Yeah, it's no one right answer.
Right.
It's no one.
I got you. Let's talk about you though.
Yeah, you here.
You got awesomeness happening.
Oh my God, I have so much happening.
Well,
it's Pride Week. It's Pride Week, so I'm here in New York, and it's World Pride, and we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising, and I'm just so grateful to be an openly trans Black woman, really living my best life and living my dreams out loud. And it's really incredible. And I feel Orange is the New Black is coming back for its final season. I'm producing and it's a documentary, and I'm moving into producing and developing some scripted stuff that I'm super psyched about. There's a long list of things I'm gonna be in that we can talk about later, but what I'm so excited about being here with BET again and being here with you is that I am a Black trans woman.
Yes.
And this month, 5 Black trans women have been murdered.
Yes.
We're celebrating Pride, and a lot of Black trans women are still finding it hard to stay alive. And there are so many Black trans women who are really frustrated with our community of Black folks who, that we say Black Lives Matter, but do we mean Black trans women's lives? We met and at the GLAAD Media Awards. She wrote an article about CeCe McDonald, a Black trans woman who ended up in prison for defending herself against an attack. And you called out the community then and said we should be standing up for CeCe McDonald, and this was in 2012, you wrote it, I think, and we met in 2013, and there are still a lot of trans folks saying, where is the Black community when we're dying, and when we are struggling? And there's so many of us who have been at Black Lives Matter marches, who have stood up when Black folks have been shot by police, and a lot of us are wondering where the community is for us, and we're struggling. This administration now we've been banned from the military. They want to discriminate against us in homeless shelters and in healthcare. It's crazy right now. Trans people are literally under attack on a policy level and on the streets, and it's mostly Black trans people.
Well, in the matter of the Black community, going back to that, what do you think is the biggest barrier that needs to be crossed between maybe straight Black men, trans people? What do you think is the biggest barrier that we're not getting, that we need to cross in order for us to be unified?
I think it starts with the humanity of LGBTQ people in general, the humanity of trans people. I think for my cis Black sisters, my non-trans sisters, my womanhood is not a threat to any other woman's womanhood. There's a history, I think we have to acknowledge the history and the trauma around how Black womanhood is disavowed in the United States. You know, when Sojourner Truth said, "Ain't I a woman?" in 1851, she was talking about the erasure of her womanhood and her Blackness as a woman. And so there's there's historic trauma around that. I think we have to heal around that. And so I think a lot of Black women see trans women and feel the history of that disavowal of Black womanhood. And there's a pain and trauma there. I think hurt people hurt people. So we have to contend with how we've been hurt. And what I would say to Black men is that your attraction to us is not a reason to kill us. Your attraction to us is not a reason to kill us. We are, we don't need to fool anybody. It's 2019. There are plenty of folks. I'm single now, and there are many options for me as a Black trans woman, and it's lovely. We don't need to trick anyone. And there's a case. Michelle Williamson, I believe is her name, who was murdered in Mississippi a few years back. And she was murdered by her ex-boyfriend, who was a Latin king. He was a gang member, and they had broken up, but he didn't want any of his gang member buddies to find out that he had dated her, and so he killed her.
Oh, great God.
So that's one example. I'm not saying all, but intimate partner violence is part of the reasons we're being murdered. I think there's issues of homelessness, and our unemployment rate is 3 times the national average, 4 times that for trans people of color. So it's an intersectional issue. But I think what I would say to our community is that it is not an affront to the race that I exist. Trans people, LGBTQ people have always existed, and we're pushed to the margins. Now we're coming forward and able to live in the light, and that is not. It doesn't diminish our Blackness, it doesn't diminish the community. It's a celebration. I come with my Blackness, with my womanhood, and my transness. And my Blackness is informed by our rich, beautiful history of Black excellence. And I stand in that. And we need our community to stand with us in that.
Thank you so much for saying that.
We got somebody writing in a question for you. Phony Braxton. Phony Braxton.
All right, you try to be all serious.
Phony. I'm like reading that like Phony Braxton. Then I think of Mark. Then I go down. How does Laverne think her work, Amia's work, and now Pose FX, work, and now Pose FX will transcend the time and move transgender culture forward in the television industry, especially the minority transgender visibility we now have?
Well, GLAAD did a study that suggested 84% of Americans don't personally know someone trans, and so most of what folks learn about trans people is through the media.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with Pose. I've been obsessed with Amaya Scott since before she was on Star. I just got her book.
on Instagram.
Did you? Amaya's book, Memoirs of a Mermaid, is juicy. Have you read it?
Amaya.
It's Amaya. I love her that she speaks all of it. She's talking about all of it in an unapologetic way, and she's brilliant and beautiful and just smart. I think it's about, I think folks are seeing our humanity, and I think folks are connecting what I've experienced as being a trans actress on, you know, that people are connecting not only with the character that I play, but with me as a human being. And that is one of my favorite stories. I ran into a Black trans woman, and when I was shopping, like circa 2013, right after Orange came out, and she's like, hi, you know, I'm trans, and this is here in New York. And she said, I just wanted to tell you that my mother and I haven't talked for 7 years. She didn't accept me as being, you know, my womanhood, and she watched Orange is the New Black, and she reached out to me for the first time in 7 years.
Wow.
And her Black mother did that because she saw me on television. Wow. And so I think that's what can happen with Pose and Amaya. And who else was mentioned?
You.
It's you. Don't forget about you.
And we want to talk more about you because we're going to go to Black Coffee to refill in a minute. We want to hear about Orange is the New Black, all the other projects you have going on, and we got some other stuff we want to show you.
Okay.
Y'all stay with us.
I love the laugh.
It's a little devious.
Got something up his
little devious.
sleeve.
I want you to watch Laverne Cox on the new season of Orange is the New Black. It premieres Netflix July 26th. It's the final season. It's gonna be amazing. I ain't even seen it yet. I just know because the other 5 have been amazing. And y'all know what to do. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. And subscribe to us on YouTube. Go to the Black Coffee channel, which is now its own separate channel, and subscribe to Black Coffee. That way you can watch us every single day, 10 a.m. Eastern. But again, we're going over to Twitter right now to keep the conversation going because it's called Black Coffee to Refill. We're gonna give you a whole lot more. Stay right there.
Yeah.